I'd love to say it was about a trend as such, but for me it's much more about a continuation or acceleration of trends we've seen in the past few years. So you'll hear a lot about trust from media agencies and creative agencies at the moment, and I think that's something that advertisers really have to bear in mind. And then there's one that I hope is going to be a trend, and that's having a bit more long-term thinking in marketing. So we've seen in recent years that short-term thinking is harming the industry, and hopefully we'll take that on board and start thinking a bit longer term in the future.
So I hope people take away from the talk today the importance of the brand's identity in any of the purpose-based marketing that they do. And that the purpose-based marketing and communications they do doesn't just have to come in the form of advertising, but that they can really put their identity out there through all of their corporate communications as well. So I think that's what I would really like everyone to get out of today. I think it's critical. So I think it can cause real lasting damage to a brand if they do not execute any purpose-based marketing with precision. And I think throughout the talk we'll talk about some of the reasons as to why that is. So some of the disadvantages to the brand's reputation, to their credibility, which doesn't just go away after a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It can actually take years to then recover from. So I think that is absolutely critical in terms of making sure that you get that right. And at the same time, some of the advantages of doing so, you can really get yourself close to your target audience, more close than you ever could just through standard communication. So that's why I think it's so important.
Today I'm talking about personalization in advertising, and I think the most important thing that people can take away is that personalization is proven to work and drive better results, but also that customers are in fact looking for personalization. Latest research suggests that this is something that they are attracted to and want to see from advertisers. But there is also a pitfall. There are also things that must be avoided. Personalization needs to be thought about very carefully, and it needs to be executed in a very controlled way to make sure that we don't fall foul of things that would be considered unacceptable. In the digital age, there are lots of new shiny things that marketeers can turn their attention to and invest money in. But the biggest challenge, I think, is staying focused on those things that are proven to work, as well as testing in new areas. So I think it's about having a blended approach where you explore new avenues that can drive good returns, but also ensure that you're not forgetting about your core strategy and creating a brand using methods that have been proven to work for a long time.
I think more than anything, fake news has just kind of created an environment of mistrust in general. I think, you know, people don't really know what they can trust in terms of content, what they can trust. So it's a difficult environment that I think that you know, brands are operating within these days. I think ultimately the ways for a brand to gain consumer trust is to really understand you know, the context of the communication that they're really trying to have and where they're having it. I think environment is so important today. If you just break it down to having a conversation with someone, you're always going to trust someone when you're having a conversation in Buckingham Palace over standing next to another fellow in a urinal. It's really important to really understand the dynamics of communications, and I think that's what brands really need to understand in where they're having their communications and the right time and the right place to actually have things.